panels, if right of security really exists for all people, then why minorities are afraid and feel insecure just because of the police existence alone, ladies and gentlemen? What's lacking in the government side of the house is that first, why their proposal will give the change in the system to be the betterment for minority, and second, how this change is going to be significant anyway. But before I'm moving on to my argument to resolve these matters, I will give you one more rebuttal. When they said about how the lack of security will be banished, we think that this is very assumptive because we are not abolish the police, we're only defunding the police to reduce the amount of police, so there will be policies that will still there to keep on to maintain the crimes, ladies and gentlemen. We think the security will still be there anyway. That means that the lack of security still be fulfilled for the people. Now, going on to my case. What is exactly the status quo? Defunding police is indeed one of the main narrative that is brought by the Black Lives Matter movement. As we can see that under the Donald Trump administration, racism really flared up even before the massive movement of Black Lives Matter, that the police brutality of racism still continue, ladies and gentlemen. Police are used by the privileges and politicians to escalate things with the demonstration of this movement. Like the recent Black Lives Matter movement, there's someone that was killed by the police, right? So that's why we think that as opposition side of the house, we have the goal of to prove to you why defunding the police is the only strategy to address police misconduct and create better environment for all races. So what we have to prove to you in this debate? First, we have to prove to you why defunding the police is morally justified, and second, why the aftermath will be better. Only one argument in my speech, that is why this act is justified to do. Going to my argument. Why is exactly Black Lives Matter glorify the defunding of police? This is not only about the recent matter of racism, but the historical violation of police that ran deep, especially toward the minority. If government want to claim that police is the only thing to better the rate of high crime, we think that this statement is very mutually exclusive, because as we see that police in US is one of the main reasons why recent crime also flourish highly, ladies and gentlemen. Thus, in this case, we think there are three reasons why defunding of police is justified. First, the police is historically violent. Police are used as the tools of the wealthy by their own interests to defend the privileges, ladies and gentlemen. Even these policies also committed homicides time by time, year by year, without even the significant listings of the crime, ladies and gentlemen. But why exactly police do this? Because they have the surplus of the budget that makes them have too much weapons. Means this creates more tendency for police to just escalate the situation when do criminal persecution to worse and even warlike and violence, ladies and gentlemen. We think that to reduce this control and their power with reducing their weaponry system is the only way to do. That's why the funding of the police is proposed by the Black Lives Matter movement. Because if we see the government side of the house case, by reforming is really zero-sum. Because reformation, like the de-escalation or even anti-bias, the diverse race of police already happened, like how you see in the Minneapolis, ladies and gentlemen. But in the end of the day, the police brutality still continue anyway. That's why the only way to actually reduce violence was to reduce police and public contact, ladies and gentlemen. Because we think reform is only an excuse to maintain power and give money, because even after years of transparency demand, there's nothing that changed until these days, that even black police is still racist because there is the Zero Tolerance Act in places like Bronx, right? But even if government want to claim that not all police is bad, then we will select only the good police to remain after the defunding. This way, it will be more fairer to the community and will be more secure for the all people, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why the defunding of police is still matter anyway. And to the second reason regarding the racism. In the current situation, racism is a very sensitive issue that minority have to face. Under Donald Trump's administration, racism flared up, and Donald Trump and his supporters kept on denying any form of racism, ladies and gentlemen. This is not because of any environmental reasons that is being claimed by government side of the house, but but because they know this case exists but chose to ignore this due to the pragmatic reasons like the political reasons and others, ladies and gentlemen. You can see Donald Trump and their supporters keep on politicizing this matter with the flying victims like white lives matter and not only the black lives. Like, we think that this is the show to you how majority will still be against us as a minority community anyway. If we are silent, we will keep be stamped on, and if we are demonstrated, we will be called as a criminal and barbaric, ladies and gentlemen. That's why if majority will twist any kind of action that we take anyway, it's better to just give the fight and to show that we as a minority cannot be always the one who sacrifice. We are also human that have rights to be protected and secure. That's why the only way to reduce racist act of police is through this way. But third reason, regarding the welfare of minority community. The consequences of racism is not only in the form of this police brutality, there are also many things. There are mistreatments for the community. The Zero Tolerance Act make the youngster of minority being criminalized without even any significant reasons. This hamper their development as a person because they cannot pursue any more education, because they are also a marginalized that cannot get proper welfare like health or even housing, ladies and gentlemen. We think that the only way to solve this is the defunding to reallocate the community program. So how we exactly reallocate this? We empower the welfare of minority by reallocate this funding towards social services or youth services to get more education for them, ladies and gentlemen. We are reallocate it to help the homeless, to help the uneducated minority that faces not only racism but the cruelty of the country, right? Because if they are occupied, it means that they won't do any crimes anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It means that if there will be less crime, this is also to reduce the criminal rate and increase the security for not only the minority but also the majority and all of people, ladies and gentlemen. Because we think defunding the police also allow experts to step in the community life more. Because nowadays that police takes more role than they are intended to, like they solve the matters of drunk people, mental health problem, and others. This matters is actually not the police proportion, but for the expert to take care on, ladies and gentlemen. That's why by defunding the police, it means that expert also can step on these issues rather than just the police jobs, ladies and gentlemen. This way, we think the improvement of communities' quality of life will be better and much more significant compared to the government side of the house. So what is exactly the comparative? The comparative is that the significant change that we create toward the funding of police, ladies and gentlemen, compared to the non-existent change of government side of the house we proudly oppose.